Yes,
My
we can
goodness,
hear
I
you.
have got no idea what happened there. I eventually got onto Teams on my browser. I'm so sorry, guys. I've got no idea. So apologies, big apologies from my side. Big tech fail there.
No, your excuse, Doc. Good morning.
Morning. I want to
I'm
quickly
hearing
get
an
my.
echo. I don't know if it's my side as well.
Let me
So
just
I
see. I'm
was,
still echoing.
no, you're okay now.
Okay. Cool, bananas. Okay, let me just see if I can share my content with you. That we can at least get going. Let me just get it open, guys. Apologies for this. I've got no idea what went wrong there. And it was working so well, Ayanda.
Yeah, it was because we
It
came
was working
on
so
like
well.
15
Yeah.
minutes before. So I was
Yeah.
about to give a brief overview of your skill set, looking at your bio. So may I just continue before I hand over
Sure.
formally to you? Is it okay? Okay,
Absolutely.
so yes, while looking at your bio, I just want to say to our audience that we have a giant in the room. So Dr. Mel, can I shorten it? Is
Yes,
it okay?
absolutely.
Yes. So Dr. Mel is currently a head of marketing for Clicks retailer. So she describes it as her best job ever. Am I correct to say that?
Absolutely.
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 And I see when I look at your bio that you've got a unique blend of creativity and analytical prowess. So you are a powerhouse. You've got a blend of nice skills. You've got over 22 years in the retail industry, and it's coupled with 35 years of expertise in analytics. You also have a rare talent. So Dr. Mel has a rare talent of deciphering consumer data and behavior and translating them into actionable strategies. So she has used this rare talent for giants like ABI, Coca-Cola, Macro, and Discam. And what I like about her as well, that beyond her accolade, she's known for her inspirational leadership, and she believes in leading um, via purpose and uh, being authentic. So you are more of an authentic leader, and you lead with purpose. And what I also like about you is that you have you advocate for work-life balance. So it's not just work, work, work. You also have a family, and we witness it with your two adult children and your grand kids, which are Benjamin and Nina. So you are like what we describe a powerful woman that can juggle her work and it's an executive position and your family as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Nell. Um, so you will be taking us through how businesses can connect with customers in today's hyper-switch world. And we are looking at, is it an opportunity or is it a pipe dream? So you'll be taking us through that. So before you take us through that, I just want to say to our guests that we've got a Q&A tab here. So you can pose your questions in the tab, and then Dr. Mel will be able to answer the questions at the end of the session when we are going to have a question and answer session. And should you have a burning issue, you may raise your hand and I'll be happy to take the hand for Dr. Mel. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Dr. Mel, please
Thank you.
take us through your nice presentation.
Thank you, Ayanda. And once again, apologies, guys, but these things happen, unfortunately. Tech rules our world. Ayanda, just confirm you guys can see my presentation.
Yes, you are able to see
Okay,
your presentation, Doc.
fantastic. Fantastic. So, guys, thank you so much. I assume fellow MBA alumni, it's always such an honor for me to talk to you, not just because it's also my alma mater, but really talking about something that's so close to my heart, and that is communicating with our customers. There's nothing that gives me more joy. At Clicks, our entire value system is driven off this premise of putting the customer and the patient first in everything that we do. And that includes, you know, how we market to them responsibly and how we communicate with them. And today, you know, in our rapidly evolving landscape, the question today is really, how do we connect with our customers? Because they are hyper switched on, guys. It's not just a matter of convenience, but it really has become a strategic initiative for us and an imperative. So as I'm going to delve into this topic, I mean, let's just first acknowledge the reality that we're in. We live in an era where information flows freely. Everybody's connected to everybody. Our consumers are bombarded with choices every day, and their attention is constantly pulled into different directions. And of course, the rise of digital tech has transformed the way that, yeah.
May you please just put it on presentation mode? It's not on presentation mode. We can see the presentation, but it's not on presentation mode.
Is it on presentation mode now? Is it now, Ayanda?
No, no.
I wonder why. It's probably because we are on the, I'll tell you what I'll do just to make it, let's just see. It says now because we are on, I wonder if I just make my screen bigger, if that will help. Let's do this. Can you see a semblance of it at least? Because I don't think we're going to get it onto presentation mode. All right, let's
okay,
let's
we can
deal
see
with,
we can.
yeah.
Okay, let's keep it that way.
Luckily, it's more about the talking than that.
Okay, sure.
So what we see really is that it's transformed the way we're interacting with our customers, right? It is how they consume information. And, you know, in this hyper switched on world, it can actually seem like a very daunting task. I mean, we've got 11.5 million active shoppers. Imagine thinking about a strategy, talking to all of them. But I really challenge you to see this not as a pipe dream. Actually, it is very much an immense opportunity. In our company, we've really embraced the power of personalization. We've leveraged our big data insights, and we've really gained valuable insights across and into consumer behavior. So we've established a presence across a plethora of marketing channels, anything from obviously the traditional like television, radio, print, etc., but also then into this vast landscape of digital channels that are available, anything from social media, mail, mobile apps, etc. Yet, you know, I always say, even with all of these advancements, the question really remains, are we truly connecting with our customers in a meaningful way? And I guess the answer lies in how you understand your consumers, their needs, their desires, their fears, their aspirations. It's going beyond demographic data and surface level preferences and really do a deep dive into the human experience. You know, especially in an environment like ours where we're talking to people that are concerned about their health and wellness issues, it's become even more important. And you know, South Africa, with its diversity and complexity, this task is particularly nuanced, right? Because we have to recognize that in 11.5 million active customers, there's unique cultural, social, economic factors that really shape the lives of our customers that we need to take into account. A couple of interesting stats here is that, you know, 72% of South African customers expect brands to understand their needs and their expectations. 40% of them spend more than what they planned if they visit a website that has been personalized to them. And if you've further personalized things like emails, etc., we've seen a 40% increase in our click-through rate and more than 3% increase in our in-store sales, not just online. So knowing that customer really increases your engagement in sales. You know, it also brings down your acquisition costs by as much as 50%, whilst leading to a revenue increase of 5 to 15%. So, I mean, the idea then to retain them, because, you know, to attract them and to grow them is one thing, but to retain them is always where the difficult part lies. And we found that when we send our customers irrelevant communication, irrelevant offers, they get irritated and frustrated because their time is limited. They've got more choice, and then they just move and vote with their wallet elsewhere. Consumers are 91% more likely to shop with you when you provide them with relevant content. And therefore, For us, personalization is applied across multiple consumer touch points because they're so hyper switched on, and to know what to talk to them about at what point is super important for us. You know, at the end of the day, our digitally enabled customer, now how do I define a digitally enabled customer? The ultimate digitally enabled customer, or digitally switched on customer for me, is the person that downloaded the Clicks app. And once we see them downloading the Clicks app, I tell you that they are 4.8 times more valuable than any other customer in our stable. So it is super important for us to understand these things and to understand how we can leverage off these hyper switched on customers that still want to touch and feel a newspaper or a magazine, still want to watch a TV ad, but multi-screen at the same time. So how do we bridge this? Yes?
We are not seeing the slides now at all.
Oh my goodness gracious. You know, guys, I think I'm just going to talk, right? I'm not that dependent on the slides. If you don't mind, then we don't keep this. Is that okay with you guys?
Okay,
right.
It's fine.
Okay, it's fine. So how do we bridge this gap between data and empathy, between analytics and intuition? Now, for me, it always starts with listening, you know, truly listening to the voice of your customer. It means actively seeking feedback, engaging in meaningful dialogue with them, and cultivating this culture of empathy within our organization. It means that we put ourselves in the shoes of our customers and our patients, and understanding their challenges, understanding that standing in a queue and a Clicks is frustrating. I'm ill, I want to get my meds, you only have one pharmacist. But then also in the end, celebrating their successes. So personalization has really become a buzzword in industries. But, you know, the reality is that embracing it has become really key in our day-to-day interaction with our customers. So we leverage our data analytics to tailor experiences that are absolutely bespoke to our individual consumers' preferences and their behavior. And this has now become a ticket to the game. It's not a should you or shouldn't you. It's in terms of how good are you at it. And really, in terms of the South African context, as I said earlier, it's at all times to recognize and respect the diversity from a cultural, socially, and economic factor point of view, and then really tailoring our approach accordingly. So that's the one thing, is personalization. The second thing is really authenticity. I mean, we, as much as we can, embrace authenticity in our communication. I think in a world that is so inundated with marketing messages, authenticity is really the currency of trust. And we always have to strive to communicate with sincerity, with transparency, integrity, and really building that genuine connection with your customer on a human level, which is quite a challenge at a big corporate level. So whether you use storytelling or user-generated content, or, you know, behind the scenes at a TV shoot, authenticity, that's showing people who you are and what your character is, really breeds a long-term loyal relationship, which means that even though they're hyper-connected, that brand love will always come through and will bring them back to whatever platform you are communicating with them on. The third important point here is really about community. I don't think you can ever overlook the power of community in fostering connection in this hyper-connected world. You know, as a pharmaceutical retailer, we've got a unique opportunity that we don't just offer you product and services, but we also cultivate a sense of belonging and support among our customers. These are usually people that are vulnerable. I just had a baby. I need advice on breastfeeding. I'm a young mom. I need to know about food. I'm a senior. I need to know about assisted living. So whether you use online forums, webinars, support groups, community eventing, we make sure that we create spaces where our customers feel they are heard and understood and valued, and that we stand out from the crowd. Also, guys, you know, when it comes to this hyper-connected world, it's all about agility and innovation in how you engage and communicate with your customer. The landscape is just constantly evolving, right? And if you are not willing to adapt and experiment with new strategies and new technology, you will be left behind. So whether you're leveraging artificial intelligence to personalize your recommendations, or you use gamification to either educate or get people to shop more, or you explore immersive technologies like virtual reality, innovation is absolutely key to stay ahead of the curve. And as you all know, A, innovation is expensive. B, the people that run innovation are scarce. So the war for talent, especially in the corporate space, is on. And if you've got the ShopRite X's that you compete with, the Amazons coming in, it really makes for some interesting conversation, especially with you when you sit with multi-generational tech and big technical debt in your company. So it's super important to strike that balance. I think that the reality in connecting with customers, of course, is that by 2027, we will be servicing 6 generations of consumers and patients in the market, right? And that in itself is a massive conundrum for us, because understanding their unique characteristics, their preferences and behaviors for each generational group is absolutely crucial in how you tailor your marketing message, your strategies, and engaging effectively in today's hyper-switched on world. So we interact with these consumers across a wide range of digital channels, right? Which means that we can truly communicate at a personal level, because when you're making a beautiful TV ad, it's for all, right? But when I'm writing a personalized mailer, or I'm sending you a personalized app notification, that is where I really speak to the heart of it. So if you will allow me to quickly go through these generations and how we look at them and how we relate to them in this like switched on world. So let me start with the baby boomers, right? They're not digital natives, but they've embraced technology fully, especially now that it's become very user-friendly and accessible. Obviously, they still have a preference more for traditional channels. They will still prefer things like television, radio, and print media. However, the insight that we've come to with our baby boomers is that if you provide a seamless omni-channel experience for them, it is key. So they prefer or they appreciate the convenience of the digital platform while also being familiar with the traditional channel. So where we've seen that link, the QR code on the screen while they're watching TV, etc., that to them is quite important. Talk to me across channels and don't leave anything out. Then we get to the Gen Xs. Now, they are early adopters of technology. They grew up during the rise of personal computers and the internet, so they're quite comfortable with digital tech. The thing with the Gen X is they call the Gen X the sandwich generation, not for nothing. They look after their parents, but they also look after their children. And therefore, the Gen X, they juggle multiple responsibilities, careers, family, personal interests, and therefore convenience for them and efficiency in their interaction with a brand is super important. So when a Gen X calls our call center, best we answer, know who they are, know when they interacted with us, and therefore we've put in tech specifically for that, because they don't have time, get me to the point and get me there quickly. And the insight for us in terms of our Gen Xs is that if we offer them personalized, time-saving solutions through digital channels, that resonates with them because they value convenience and efficiency in their busy lives. Then we look at the millennials, right? They're absolute digital natives. They are the first generation to grow up with the internet and smartphones, which means that they are highly proficient in all things digital tech. They're super socially conscious, as you know. They prioritize authenticity, transparency, social responsibility. And when they work with brands, they are looking for a brand that aligns with their values. So the insight for us from a communication point of view with these guys is when you engage with them, right, you need to leverage your digital platforms to have almost like an interactive experience with them, where they are looking for that authenticity. So what we found, for instance, something like a webinar, where they can comment, where they can converse, where they want to have their opinions, and it's beyond just selling them stuff. We found that that is, from their point of view, is super important. The Gen Zs, they are our true digital natives, right? They've never known a world without smartphones, social media, instant access to information. So they are our most highly connected and tech-savvy customer. They've got super short attention spans. That's why TikTok works like a charm with them. They grew up in an era, or are growing up in an era, of a complete information overload. They've got as I said, a super short attention span, and therefore, when you want to communicate with them in this world, it needs to be sharp, it needs to be very much bite-sized and visually very engaging. So when we create content, especially reels, etc., and short videos, we make sure that it is a visual overload, that it's beautiful, that it catches their attention. So we make sure that it's concise, that it is appealing, and that we deliver it through digital channels. And we allow them the opportunity to co-create, which I think is super important. You know, whenever we have a competition to say, how would you do this beauty makeup, or what would you do with this type of wellness, we get a huge response from them. The Gen Alphas are the guys that are on their way. They were born in 2013 and onwards, so they are about 11. But let me tell you, they are influencing the consumer. They tech integrated from birth, right? Technology is seamlessly integrated in their world. It shapes their expectations and their behaviors even at this young age. And of course, for us, it's going to be very important here, going into this era of the alphas, is to embrace this diversity and inclusivity that comes with it, but then to leverage emerging technology. So it is, you know, already now, my team is already looking at what is the tech going to be going forward, where we are going to engage. Is it the Apple, I don't know what you call those fancy glasses that you put on, where it's virtual reality? What is the role of AI, etc.? So, excuse me. As you can see, I mean, in the set that we have, I mean, I didn't even talk about the silent generation. My mom is part of the silent generation, but she's quite tech savvy, right? She's also on Facebook and WhatsApp, etc., etc. But the human touch for her is way more important. And that's why actually speaking to a pharmacist face to face for her is important, and allowing her to do that versus a millennial that is quite happy to talk to the virtual doctor in our stores. So really, the importance for brands and for companies today is to make sure that you're catering across this wide landscape of customers. Now, there are a couple of pitfalls, of course, and some challenges that you're going to face here. Because number one is information overload. You know, with such an abundance of information that's available online for our consumers, they are already so overwhelmed by choice. And I coined this decision fatigue, right? They get decision fatigued and they get indecisive. And the important thing from a retailer point of view is really to cut through the clutter and make sure that the messaging that you deliver is concise and it captures the attention and it stands out. I always compare this with billboards on the N1 in Joburg. I mean, there's just so much that it just, I don't know who still spends money on that, quite frankly, because nobody even sees it anymore. There's just too much. And that leads me to the second one, which is short attention spans, right? In today's very fast-paced digital world, I mean, more and more we're seeing customers that want the 15 seconds, so what? That's it. And to create content that can live in a 30-second TV ad or a 45-second ad, but that can also live in 5 seconds where you can grab their attention, has become imperative, right? So I never thought in retail that I would ever have a full team of videographers, but that's the reality. They are creating short content all the time. The other thing is channel fragmentation, because as the availability and proliferation of marketing channels grow, from social media, email, all sorts of mobile apps, search engines, I mean, the consumer's attention is fragmented, and it's making it very difficult for retailers to reach that consumer base effectively. So that is why an omni-channel approach is so important. And I always say to myself, omni-channel doesn't mean that you copy and paste everything you do in channel A onto channel B, C, and D. It's really to understand what each channel's purpose is, who you are talking to, and how they want to consume your content. So, and it's how we then seamlessly integrate our marketing efforts across these in a cohesive and consistent experience for the customer. Privacy is a huge issue. I mean, the demise or the cookieless feature, as they call it, now first-party data has become so important, guys. And with the POPIA regulator really, I think, getting teeth now, it's become super important. I think people have become very aware of their data privacy issues. They're more cautious about sharing their information with retailers. And therefore, we have to become super transparent and super respectful in terms of what I prefer. So if I tell you I don't want a mailer about babies, then don't send me a mailer about babies, because then I'm just going to unsubscribe and you're going to lose my data forever because you're not allowed to speak to me again. And therefore, our first, second, and third party data solutions have become imperative. And I mean, the chief data officer in any big retailer or bank or telco has become one of the most important positions because of these privacy concerns. And then, guys, competition, right? I think the hyper switched on customer landscape has intensified competition between retailers. It's not just the 4 Ps anymore, guys. Location has now become this. This is location, right? If I've got my cell phone in my hand, I'm where you are. And therefore, it has become difficult to stand out in a crowded marketplace. And therefore, you have to distinguish yourself either by giving relevant offers or personalized experiences, and obviously exceptional customer service, because at the end of the day, you can have the perfect place and product and promotion and price, but if your customer service is not good, then I'm not going back there because I can get it somewhere else. And it's just not physical anymore. You know, in the past, a retailer like ourselves would have seen another pharmaceutical retailer as our main competition. Actually, the competition is now convenience. 60/60 has changed convenience to 60 minutes, right? And therefore, we have to think very, very differently. And to be able to do that brings me to the next pitfall, and that is rapid technological advancements. I mean, the pace of technological change is just mind-blowing. It is accelerating. New platforms, new tools, new trends, they're emerging constantly. And retailers, remember, also have a bricks and mortar store, right? We're not just online. So we have to stay agile and adaptable, continuously learning and evolving our strategies to keep up the pace with our shifting consumer behaviors and preferences in the way that they consume tech. And then I think the last pitfall that I just want to stand still on is fake news and misinformation. I think the proliferation of fake news, especially now around all these elections, you know, it's online, that erodes the customer's trust and can damage anybody's reputation. And therefore, I think from a retail point of view, we are staying very vigilant in verifying the accuracy of the information that we share, and that we take proactive steps to make sure that we combat misinformation with our online customers. So I still believe that despite the pitfalls, despite the naysayers, being hyper switched on with consumers is essential. And it's a strategic imperative for us. And hence, there's a very high level of focus and spend that is allocated to this in our current environment. Why is that so? Well, number one, you want to meet your customers' expectations. In this digital age, as I say, consumers expect you to know them, who they are, and cater seamlessly for them. It allows us to anticipate and meet this expectation if we also hyper switched on, and to be able to provide those tailor-made experiences that resonate with our customers. It also gives us a competitive advantage. We stay ahead of trends, we understand our consumers' needs and desires, and therefore we try and deliver innovative solutions like our vitamin recommender, our baby journeys, etc. And that's how we can differentiate ourselves from the crowded marketplace. You also build relationships when you leverage the data that you receive from your customers as a result of them being hyper switched on, because you understand them on a deeper level, and therefore you can build a stronger relationship with them. Of course, this leads to repeat business, positive word of mouth referrals, and then what everybody wants is that customer lifetime value. Of course, we're not in the charity business either, so you want to maximize your return on investment. And if you are a hyper switched on retailer, you optimize your marketing effort and investments by not spraying and praying, but really targeting the right audience with the right message at the right time and in the right channel. This leads to higher conversion rates and increased sales and improved ROI for marketing. Adaptability, some of my last points here is there's one thing that I've learned about a customer, and that is they can change very quickly. They change their minds, they change their opinions. And if you are switched on, if you stay on top of where your consumer is, right, it allows you to adapt quickly to these changes and pivot your strategies and stay relevant in this ever-changing marketplace. That means we have to drive innovation. It's not always easy, because CapEx budgets also need to be spread across multiple sections of the business. But if you stay attuned to what this hyper switched on customer is telling you, you know what to innovate in, you know what to drive, how your product needs to develop, and create offerings that meets this emerging demand from your customer, and also capitalize on new opportunities. Sometimes it's the luck of the draw, right? Sometimes COVID happens and you had your 60/60 app almost there, and this catastrophic event happens, and at that moment you're already, and you're a market leader, right? So sometimes there's also a little bit of luck of the draw, but if they were not ready with that innovation, they would have not been able to capitalize on that. And I think that's the important bit. And at the end of the day, guys, it's all about brand reputation. For those of you that have followed the Click story around Tresemme will know that we are hypersensitive, not just hyper switched on, but hypersensitive when it comes to brand. And when you interact with your customers in a meaningful way in the world that they live in, it definitely enhances your brand, your brand perception and your brand experience. So in closing, I want to say this, and that is that I think we have to absolutely embrace the opportunities that come with this hyper switched on world with our customers, however daunting it might be. We're definitely forging deeper connections. We're definitely driving more meaningful engagement and building lasting relationships that will transcend transactional interactions, not just selling them stuff. I think as marketers, we need to harness the power of data, the power of technology and innovation, and anticipate and meet these evolving needs of our customers and position ourselves as trusted partners on their journey. I think together as a community, as business, we have to embark on this journey and make sure that we're guided by empathy, by authenticity, and by an absolute relentless commitment to excellence. I hope this was useful. Apologies for the technical glitches, but yeah, so I'm very happy to take any questions or comments. Guys there, anybody? I see I got a hand. Thank you so much, AT. Ayanda, anything from your guys' side?
There's nothing in the chat box. So no.
Happy days. I'm very happy to share the PowerPoint. Really, it was very much just based on the notes that I gave forward. But Lapis, you've got your hand. Got it.
Yes, good morning. Very insightful. And I like the idea of what you said, to engage personally. And that also put some seeds in my mind of doing stuff for our university. My question is, this type of marketing is a very expensive type of marketing. What how can you how can I say level it out? Because like I said, you said on the device, this is that's the 4 P's. What is how will you suggest that you mitigate the cost? Because in South Africa, cost is a big thing with the rand dollar. Thank you.
Yeah, it is, Lappies, and especially when it comes to marketing technology, where you drive personalization through, because you need a tool, right? It is just simply not possible to do it without a level of marketing automation. And most of the marketing automation software is dollar or euro based. And what I have managed from a corporate point of view is once you start demonstrating the value of those customers, so we use a measure that we call ROPO, it's research online, purchase offline, where we've managed to quantify that if a person opens a mail or browses a personalized part of the website or a message, do they convert in store as well? And what we've seen is, because very often, you know, in your case, it's not sales. In our case, it is really sales. So there you can actually come up with a return on investment. I think the important part is it depends on the size of your company, right? It depends on the size of what you want to do, because I often find that people over-engineer this. There is actually software where you can personalize to a, you know, that is not that expensive, and you can use digital channels where it is not that expensive, especially if you've got good first-party data, where you've got contactability data of the customers or patients or students that you service. I'll tell you, one of my biggest costs is to obtain contactability information and actually purchasing it, because you know, everybody in South Africa has like 2-3 cell phones at a time, and it's not always easy. So I think it's also a case of horses for courses, starting small, proving a business case, and then building on that. But yeah, I mean, it is an absolute reality. And if I tell you that half my job is fighting budgets, then you will understand the other half is fighting IT, by the way. But it really is to get enough budget allocated. But the only way I could build this personalization case over the last 4 or 5 years was to prove the value and to prove that these customers are more loyal. And because they're more loyal, the customer, you know, their lifetime value has increased. But it is a conundrum, because technology is flipping expensive, and what you're implementing today might not be there 3 years later. And that's why I prefer not buying off-the-shelf type of tech, because I found that off-the-shelf tech goes out of fashion very quickly. I rather form a relationship with a company, even if they're a little bit more expensive, but that can expand the technology and change and be agile and adaptable, so that I don't have to re-implement tech the whole time. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much. I appreciate.
Anybody else? I'm more than happy. Yeah.
There's a comment in the chat box that says, well-crafted, interesting, and an informed presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Thank you so much, guys. And by all means, I'll share my email address in the chat here. If you ever want to reach out, please feel free. I'm always happy to share. The academic in me just never wants to die. So by all means, reach out if you want to.
Are there any more hands, any more questions? There's a hand, Doc, from Monet. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much for this presentation. I found it very interesting, and it's always nice to get new perspectives and so forth. I just want to ask you, what is your opinion on these telemarketing? I know Clicks does not do that. Well, I hope not, because it's the most hated form of marketing, but yet it's so successful that companies do continue making use of it. I just would like to get your take on that ethical wise. Why do you think people still use this, even though they annoy the masses for minimal gain in sales? What's your take on it? I just want to have a personal take on that. No need to put you on a spot or anything, or
No,
something
all good.
academic.
I just want to pick up with you. What type of marketing? I missed that right in the beginning.
It's the telemarketing. You know, we get all these annoying telephone calls and SMSs during the day or night. And what's your take on that? Is there not some solutions other than Truecaller?
Let me tell you, I cannot believe that companies think that still works, Monet. This is my personal opinion. I think that customers have become, and you know what, it just spoils it for everybody else, because here's what happens, right? I've got this telemarketer that's called me this morning and this afternoon, and then sends me a very nice mail, and then I'm so irritated, and I just unsubscribe because I'm so sick of marketers. So the unfortunate thing is they absolutely taint the industry. I can tell you that the problem there is, and the regulator will have to step up to this, because I can tell you that people have called me where I go, where the hell did you get my information from? I think there are dubious companies out there that sell information on, and you know, and I can imagine what it costs them. Because I will get a telemarketer calling me from 3 different numbers in a row. So yeah, Mona, I think it's it's completely outdated. It is completely outdated. One of the pitfalls that I noted there was data privacy. And if I give you my cell phone number, I give it to you because I give you permission. But if you call me without my permission, so I do think it makes life very difficult. We've actually cut down completely on SMS. For 2 reasons. Number one, it is very expensive. That is the truth. But number 2 is, it's very much a spray and pray approach. And I think it's become blah. I think people just delete it and don't care. And you really can't personalize in that fashion either. So I'll tell you one thing. We definitely, the only time we will communicate on SMS is if there's like a community drive, like a vaccination drive, or where we tell our entire community of Club Card members, listen, your new Club Card points have been loaded. But it's more community messaging than it is marketing. And I think the problem with marketers today, Monet, is that they shoot in all directions and hope something sticks to the wall. And, you know, our budgets are being cut literally year by year. You are expected to drive efficiency. How the hell do you do it on telephone calls and SMSs?
I agree.
I don't know.
I agree.
I don't
100%.
So yeah, I'm on your page as well. I
Thank
get
you so much.
irritated.
Thank you for the insight. I do appreciate it. I feel exactly the same. Thank you so much.
No, please. I hope nobody on this call is doing it, because it's just a horrible practice. Horrible.
I agree.
Thank you. There's another hand up, I see.
Thanks, Dr. Mel. It's Ngwani.
Hi, Ngwani.
Yes. I've heard one of in the streets. I was just actually going to fix my car. One guy mentioned that it's big companies, your macro, your basically the big chains, they've got analytical softwares that they use to actually predict. They can see the trends. In terms of, they can say, okay, in that area this is what's happening, and that area. And then also I've seen that Banyala Lezufi has is currently in Gauteng. He's collaborating with big companies to actually deliver these products where there was no access, like your Mamelodi townships, your Soweto. The issue of security was always there. Even Uber doesn't even go at that side. So I want to know, how do you guys deal with security when actually I heard you talk about 60/60 in this digital space.
Yeah.
You get people eating people's food with Uber deliveries. So there's a code. I order food for 300, it never comes. Apparently the guy ate it. How do you guys deal with the security? Number one. Number 2,
yeah, I know.
Number 2, what software would you recommend? I've got a couple of shops in Limpopo that in due time I might need to actually put them in a network. where in a supply chain network where I supply them with items for extremely low price. How do you guys deal with security, number one? How do you guys what kind of softwares do you guys use for analytics in the big chains?
Okay, let me start with the security question first. I think it's a headache for all retailers, right? So what we do is in areas where we have security issues, we prefer doing a click and collect service. So if you order online, we will deliver it to the closest clicks. And, you know, because we've got a convenient strategy, we can actually do that because, I mean, more than 50% of the South African population lives within a 5-kilometer radius of a click. So when it's normal stuff that you order online, we will, if we can't deliver in your area due to security concerns, we will deliver to the click store where our customers can pick it up, either in a locker or, you know, at a dedicated desk. However, the one thing that we've not been able to solve is really around medication. Because medication, it's not just a security concern because people might take your medication and use it. It's also that, you know, you might not be at home and your 16-year-old child takes your Schedule 8 medication, which we cannot allow. So for us, the conundrum is solving that more than anything else, is to get over-the-counter medication as well as your prescription medication safely to you. So unless we've got an absolute 100% solve for that, we will not roll it out to the market. We've trialed it in 50 of our stores. It's working very well. And we'll roll it out the moment that we feel, because we, you know, when people trust you with their medication, it's very different from trusting you with their groceries. All right. So it is, it's a difficult one to solve. And one of the things that we do is choosing the right partners so that your extended delivery fleet is a trusted partner. At this point, we work with 1 or 2 partners only. But as we roll it out, it will become more difficult. The question around analytics software, I think that is a question that is not easily answered in a short space here. It's not really the software as much as it is the data scientist that works with you. Because it's actually what we've done is we use models that were built for us by data scientists. But as a big retailer, you can afford to do that. I don't really think there's off-the-shelf software that I would recommend, even for a smaller company like your own. What I would recommend is that you get a bright person that just finished their statistics or econometrics or data science degrees, or are looking for an internship, and get them to come and build stuff. Because even on Excel, you can build great forecasting models. It's not always in how expensive it is. It's really horses for courses and tailor making a solution for yourself. In our case, we've got a whole team of data scientists that work on this every day, right? But that's big corporate. In your case, I would start with getting a propeller head. I call them propeller heads. Getting a propeller head in your business to give you some advice on how you can take sales trends, because you get basic, programming software like Python, etc., where these kids build unbelievable models. So get yourself a digital native. They are brilliant and they build fantastic models on fairly simple software that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg.
Right. Thank you, Doc.
Sure.
Doc, I see there's a question in the chat. Sorry,
Yes.
From AT. AT is asking, when I completed my PGDM marketing, data analytics was not as advanced. Which software is applicable in today's market?
I think my previous comment holds. I don't think there's proper off-the-shelf marketing analytics software that you can just buy. I find that when you buy these things off the shelf, it's like black box. It's there's no thinking behind it. And I would rather, as I say, get a sharp young person that is a digital native that can code. I think coding, my grandchildren are 4.5, they're twins, and the one thing I say to my son is the first thing they must learn is how to code, right? Because if you get somebody that can just take your data and just write simple code on one of the simple coding platforms, which doesn't cost an arm and a leg, you're going to get much better results than marketing analytics software per se. Yes, there's software for big companies like Salesforce and so forth, but I mean that is hellishly expensive and you don't want to go that route at all. Start small, and they'll probably tell you what software comes next, because that also, it changes so quickly. You don't want to tie yourself in with something that's redundant in the year after. I can see some comments there. There we got, yeah, but Google Analytics and all of that, there we go. There we go. All of those stuff can be used, but you need a proper person to help drive that drive. Thank you, Monet. That's fabulous, right? And as I say, get a propeller head to help you with all of those tools. Ayanda, I think that's it. Let's
I think that's it. Okay. On behalf of the business school, and our guest today, we just want to thank you for exceptional presentation. Your insights and expertise made a significant impact, I should say, and we are grateful for your valuable contribution. Thank you again for sharing your knowledge and making our session a success. Thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you, guys. Have a lovely day. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.